When you're ready to begin writing your APA paper, you want to use a template because there are a lot of formatting settings that go along with APA documents. If you're in Microsoft Word, you can search their templates for an APA style template, and it'll give you the full APA template with all the level headings and everything else that goes with it. I've taken that template and simplified it down into something that works for this paper and most of your general college papers. Anything that's basically 1,000 words or less, this template typically will work for. And you'll notice that an APA template, an APA paper, starts differently than an MLA paper because there is a cover page. It's got the page numbers up here for you already done if you're using a template. And right here, the template will tell you to type out your title. And you want to title your paper something that's going to reflect what the entire paper is about. You'll notice that the title is in bold on the template, so when you type it out here, it'll also be in bold, and you don't want to change that. Also notice that the title page starts 1/3 of the way down the page, which is correct for the formatting, so don't delete this space. And you don't want to change the font or the style of the template in any way, because then you'll be taking it out of APA format. Next, you'll type your name in this space, and then these three have been done for you, where you include the name of your college, your professor, your class date. For the due date of the paper, you should refer to your class calendar for when our paper is due, and then type that date there. Now, once you've filled out the title page and you've typed your title here, if the template has not been tampered with and you scroll down, it'll repeat itself here. So the same title will appear here at the top of page 2, which is where your paper is actually supposed to start. And underneath this title is where you'll have your introduction paragraph, including any documentation for research and, of course, your thesis statement. Now, APA, you might notice, segments things and places them into sections, and then it labels those sections. And these labels are called level headings. Now, level headings can get really complicated and go even further. You can go up to level heading number 5, where you subsection this main one with different elements of that paragraph. But if you're writing a paper, like I said, that's 1,000 words or less, typically you only need the first level heading like this. And you can refer to the Microsoft official template if you want to see what all the other level headings are and where they go. But if you're only writing a paragraph of 8 to 10 sentences, really, you don't want to cut that into smaller pieces and label each example. That would be parsing things down way too much. So for my paper and most of your papers, this style will work for you. All you have to do is label the section. For instance, in our outline, it says Roman numeral 2 is supposed to be your problem or disturbing issue. And so you want to label it something that shows what that's about. And then you'll place that paragraph 2 right here. Okay. Once you're typing that out, you want to make sure you include things like your in-text documentation. So a couple things to remember about in-text documentation, and I do have a whole video about documentation, so I'm not going to go into every single thing. This is a quick review that when you're doing your documentation for APA, typically you're including the last name of the author and the year. For information on how to include 2 authors, 3 or more, or if there is no author, again, check that other video that goes over all the documentation stuff. But if you're paraphrasing things in your own words, then this will work for you. Okay, just the simplified documentation. However, if you are quoting something word for word in APA, you then have to add to that documentation the location. So that would be either the page or the paragraph number, like that. It is better, as always, to paraphrase things in your own words. The more quoting you do in your paper is the less grading a teacher can do for your paper. So keep that in mind. Quotes should be very short, and it should only be something you cannot reword. Let's say it's the data. You've got a string of statistics, which you cannot reword, and reordering them is not the same thing as rewording. So in that instance, you should just quote those numbers. But anything else around those numbers should very likely be paraphrased. But again, if you quote, you then have to give a location about where that quote occurs. Now, as you're going down, your third section is Roman numeral 3 in your body paragraph, which is the solution or promising idea. You want to create a title for that that reflects what your research is about, and then write your third paragraph here. Remember to include things like topic sentences. That first sentence of your paragraph should reflect everything that's in that paragraph. You should begin with big ideas and then break it down into examples, document that research, and when you're finished with that paragraph, wrap it up with a concluding statement at the end. You don't want to end on an example. Now, when you're doing that documentation, once again, you don't always have to do in-text citations like this. You can, for instance, type in the name of the author. But it is a good idea when you're typing these things in, if it's not clear that this person is an expert, you can, for instance, give some background information on who they are or what their credentials are, and that will make your paper more appear more official because you've shown that they are an expert. But when you are typing in the name of the author into the sentence, you also have to include the date with it. So like in the in-text citations, the name is always accompanied by the year. And that's going to be true even when you write it in. If you write in the name, you include the year in parentheses next to that name. Now, if you are then doing a quote, since a quote also has to include a location, either page or paragraph number, if you include that quote, the location will stay with the quote. So the location stays with the quote itself, the year stays with the name of the author. And in that way, you can utilize your documentation in a way so it's clear for the reader where your research begins and ends. You'll indent every paragraph. The final paragraph for this essay, section 4 of your outline, is the conclusion, and you'll just leave it labeled conclusion like it's already done for you on the template and write your conclusion paragraph underneath that. When you go down to your final page, if the template is still doing its proper formatting and nothing's been deleted, you'll have the references page on the final page of the document. And then when you're typing out your reference, if it goes beyond one line, it should be doing this hanging indent where there's a indent on every additional line of the citation. You'll put all of your references in alphabetical order based on the first word on the left side. Now, if you have any trouble with a template or need any help fixing it or something goes wrong, then remember you can email me, attach your document, let me know what's going on with it, and I can help you fix any formatting issues.